Welcome to Small Arms Solutions. Today we're looking at the Adams Arms Patrol Enhanced Short Rifle. Now I've done one review on Adams Arms before, but it was the 5.56. I'll give you a little bit of background on this company and where it comes from. Now this company here, their niche in the industry was external piston. Now this was one of the first companies that ever offered a user-installed drop-in external piston kit, conversion kit. So these guys were known for providing the gas blocks, the operating rod, the new bolt carrier. So all you have to do is remove your original front sight base, drop in this one, insert your operating rod, replace your bolt carrier. And they have been very, very successful. In fact, they probably are the most successful of any of them. In fact, the system was so reliable and so well built that many OEMs have used this for their own lines of external piston rifles, including Core 15. That's one of the ones I can recall, and I do believe Diamondback as well had an external piston utilizing this system. So it's been very, very well received for those who like it. They've also gotten into manufacturing complete rifles. The first ones obviously were the 5.56. They had offered several different rifles with that caliber. And one of the benefits to buying the complete rifle versus the kit is the front sight base or the gas block that's used. In most cases, the gas block, as you're seeing on this one right here, they're drilled and pinned in place. The kits, not so much. They're held on by two screws. And as you guys know, I have a very big pet peeve about having front sight bases, gas blocks drilled and pinned in place, especially on an external piston where you're having momentum going back and forth. You're having the impact of that operating rod going back and forth. I think it's that much more important to have that the gas block or front sight base pinned in place. The Adams Arms, very, very high quality rifle. The system is very, very well proven. And they decided they were going to go on to make a 308 version, which they did. So the 308 version was a mirror of the same. It was just a 7.62 version. They made different size gas blocks depending on the width of the barrel. So you'll be able to put it on pretty much whatever type of a rifle that you wanted. Now, for as far as the handguards were concerned, the original 5.56s came with modified M4 type handguards where they were basically just cut out for the operating rod on the rear of the handguard. And as time went on, there was more of a desire for rails. And as that happened, some companies, such as Midwest Industries and Samson, had come out with some of them, different rails that you could drop onto the system. But at the time this particular rifle here came out, they did not have any of those rails that were available. Now, the rifle that we see here, this is not what you would call a stock rifle. This started off life as a Patrol Enhanced Short Rifle. As you can see from the photographs of the original rifle, this looks quite different. This particular rifle has had a lot of work done to it. Now, something else that's unique about this rifle, this happens to be their new short receiver. Now, short receiver basically means the receivers are shortened, basically the exact same way that you would see with the DPMS Gen 2. In fact, the upper and lower receiver of the Adams Arms 308 short receiver is the DPMS Gen 2. They're utilizing the same upper receiver, lower receiver, and the same bolt carrier configuration as that of the DPMS Gen 2. So you have a proven system. You have very, very easily modified parts to give you a more compact rifle. Now, looking at the rifle, coming from the rear here, you have a B5 stock on here. Now, this particular stock came with the rifle. This was part of the original rifle. You have a 6-position receiver extension. Now, you also have a standard mil-spec type receiver extension tube in here, which means you're using the shorter buffer. The upper and lower receiver, again, this was all black when it was new. This was done by the customer, by the owner of the rifle. You have 775 T6 aircraft grade aluminum upper and lower receiver, black. You can also see that the trigger guard is integral to the receiver. It's oversized so you are able to wear gloves. You have your forward assist, you have your ejection port dust cover, and you have a fire cartridge case deflector. Now, once we get into the bolt carrier, we're going to talk a little bit more about the fire cartridge case deflector and the extractor on the system. Now, before we get into the guts of it, we're going to talk a little bit more about the outside here. This particular handguard was a Midwest Industries handguard that was modified to go on this rifle by a gunsmith because there just wasn't many available at the time. As you can see, we have M-lock on here. And then, of course, it was painted by the customer as well. Now, moving forward, we're going to talk a little about what the barrel is. The barrel is a Voodoo barrel. It's melanite coated. 16 inches chromoly vanadium steel, 1 10-inch right-hand twist. Melanite coated. On the bottom side of the barrel extension, there are 2 pressure relief cuts in case the barrel was to overpressure, which is a safety feature. And as we previously stated, we have feed ramps on the barrel extension as well as the upper receiver. The gas block here is adjustable. 1913 rail on the front, drilled and pinned into place. And in a few minutes here, we're going to take the gas system out so you can see how the system works. Now, we do have a Surefire muzzle brake on here, which is also used to connect one of the Surefire sound suppressors on here. This would originally come with a muzzle brake on it. We have a Harris bipod, which was added by the customer as well. Now, the pistol grip that came with this rifle was the Magpul Mo K2, which has that weird angle to it, sort of like the HK 416. The customer who bought this rifle went ahead and replaced that with a Magpul Mo, which I couldn't think would be a better idea. This is a much better pistol grip, I think, than that. The optic that was added to this was the primary arms 4-14 with the HUD reticle. The mount is the ADM Recon Scope mount. The rifle came set up this way for us to test. For disassembly, make sure we're empty. First, looking at the receiver, we do have a 2-stage trigger, which was also added. These come with the mil-spec triggers. So looking at the bolt carriers, what we have first is we have the standard AR-10 type bolt carrier 308. The next we have is the DPMS Gen 2 in 308, which is the shorter receiver. Now we have the Adams arms. As we can see, the Adams arms is the exact same length, the exact same bolt carrier. Now you'll notice that there is no carrier key because this is utilizing an external piston. This is the impact area. Also notice the difference between the standard cam on the Gen 2 DPMS versus the round on the DPMS. This helps not to have the wear in the inside of the receiver behind the cam path. This is a very good enhancement. It doesn't spin like the roller cam that POF has, but it still is a major benefit. Of course, when we compare that to a regular 5.56. So looking at the bolt carrier, we're going to take this apart. We have a single piece firing pin retaining here instead of having a cotter pin. And you notice we have a PVD coated firing pin. Cam pin, bolt, and you will see there's no gas rings on here, and you'll see that we have a spring on the rear of the tail of the bolt also. Now here's another change that has been done specifically by Adams Arms. They have modified the shape of the extractor. Now the shape of the extractor has been modified so it works along with the cartridge case deflector, so it will not damage the brass. It will not put any dents into it when it comes out, so it's that much better for a reloader. This is one of the first companies I've ever seen who's done anything with a semi-automatic rifle or automatic rifle that has done anything specifically to help the reloader, because for all intents and purposes, nobody wants people to fire reloads through their rifle. And as you can see, instead of utilizing the rubber bumper like DPMS does, they utilize a regular extractor spring. Initially, the bolt is coated with an electroless nickel finish, and then on top of that with a PVD finish. Reinsertion of the extractor pen. Make sure we put the spring on the back of the tail. Insert, make sure your extractor is pointed to the right. Drop in our cam pin. Drop in our firing pin. There we go. Now we're going to take a look at the gas system. Now looking in the front, we can see where the gas valve is. By pushing inward and rotating, we can pull out the gas system. So as we can see here, we have a basic external piston operating system. You have your gas valve, you have your operating rod, and you have your gas valve. This particular gas valve only has two positions. It has gas on and gas off. So you have a very simple system. As you can see, the impact surface of where the operating rod will strike the bolt carrier. This is your basic standard short stroke gas system. So for reinsertion, we're going to insert it back together. Insert it from the front. Push. And there we have it. That's all there is to it. Gas system does run cleaner. For as far as the accuracy is concerned, there has definitely been, evidence that does show that an external piston system can have less accuracy than a direct gas due to the fact that you have a very heavy gas block on here with a operating rod that's going back and forth. You also have the issue with carrier tilt because the bolts being the operating rod's impacting the face is driving it downward. To deal with the carrier tilt issue, you have the conical cone in the back here. It's for reassembly, charging handle. Now the reason for the spring on here is it holds the bolt in the open position or the unlocked position, so it's easier to assemble. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to the range and we're going to see how this one shoots. There were 5 different types of ammunition that were used with this rifle. The SIG 150 grain full metal jacket at 2,684 feet per second. The Black Hills ammunition at 168 grain OTM, 2,449 feet per second. Black Hills ammunition at 175 grain OTM, 2,473 feet per second. Barnes 168 grain OTM, 2,483 feet per second. And PPU 168 grain OTM at 2,452 feet per second. The best group that was shot was by Henry Chan from 9-Hole Review. He shot best with the PPU with a 2.7-inch group at 100 yards. So overall, well-made rifle. This definitely is as customized as they come. So anybody who's looking to buy one of these, you're going to be looking at some other models. There's some other patrol battle rifles. You have actually several different options of rifles that you can go with for as far as the Adams Arms are concerned. You also have drop-in kits as well. They also manufacture a drop-in kit for if you were to have any of the Gen 2, obviously DPMS, since this is what the receivers are based on. You have a drop-in kit that can turn any one of the DPMS Gen 2s into an external piston as well. So again, you have quite a few different options. This particular rifle has just been customized to exactly what this gentleman wanted it for, and he used this as a hunting rifle. This is a good optic. The overall system is very well made. Adams Arms never gained the popularity that probably it could. I think the momentum on external piston versions of these rifles has sort of gone down. There was certainly a time in the, I would say the mid-2000s or late 2000s where it was a big deal. Everybody wanted an external piston. The direct gas was evil. A lot of these companies had their heyday back then. I think as of now, it's really proven itself that external piston is not any better than direct gas. And I think a lot of people have decided upon that, so I think a lot of that momentum to have this type of operating system has gone by the way of the dodo. But for those who still want to go with the external piston, you do have a lot of different options. Adams Arms is definitely one of them. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you do, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share. Thank you.